a broadcast or even a newsletter, because at the time I didn't have a strong enough laptop to be typing out all these ideas. But there are parts of it that I didn't like, about like the Rush storyline. Was in awe of her performance, of how she displayed the split personality, hoping to become a network of
Really lovely to be here today, Aïsha. Just like to let you introduce yourself and your project in a sentence or two.
So my name's Aïsha-Iman Darigha. I was born and raised in London, and my project is the Slumber Screen Society, which is hoping to become a network of broadcasting newsletters, articles, and potentially a podcast.
Lovely. So you're on the BA Fashion Journalism and Content Creation course here at LCF. What drew you to study that in the first place?
I think I always wanted, I knew from year one I wanted to come to UAL. I grew up near UAL campus, so I'm used to seeing UAL lanyards everywhere. But I knew that I wanted to do this course because I saw someone when I was 16 vlogging their day in a life, and they did press junkets as a part of their final course. And I was like, if I can do this course and have a future outside of fashion, I would love to do this course, because it seemed thrilling, because I get experience in social media and journalism, which are two of my strongest passions.
Oh, that's super interesting. So I'm going to ask you now to describe the journey of your degree in one word.
I'll say transformative, because when I was 18 and I got my acceptance, and my reaction was very hysterical. I recorded my reaction, and the main thing that flows in my head is that when I said, "Oh my God, I got into UAL," and I was crying and just thanking God that I got the opportunity to be here. But when I came into the school, I didn't know the environment that I was walking into, being from London and being a native Londoner. I didn't know how to blend into these classes and that blend into the group of people that I was going to be in the same class in for the next 2.5 years. But I found it hard in year two, and I lost a lot of myself. I lost, when I was looking back at the montage that I made about my experiences, I lost a lot of my spark. And I think it being here, partly the social environment kind of made me dim parts of my personality just to make myself more likable, and it didn't work out in any way. So year three, I got my spark back. I started doing things that are outside of school, started going into communities where I felt welcomed, and I got my spark back. I felt more happy. I felt more like I was being my most authentic self, going back into pageantry, being back with my friends in pageantry, doing bookish content and meeting new bookish people. That kind of got me being more happy and more excited to be here. But there were days that I didn't come in because I was either poorly or sick, or I didn't have the headspace to be here. But it didn't stop me from coming in and doing my work and getting every assessment done.
Wow, that sounds like a real journey. And I think, a degree is a long time for ups and downs. But let's come back to your spark and talk about what you did in year three. I really want to hear more about the Slumber Screen Society and what inspired you. So what was the spark? What sparked off the Slumber Screen Society project?
I had the idea at the beginning of last year and I wanted to do it, but I felt like I didn't have the equipment to do it. So I slowly started buying the equipment to do a broadcast or even a newsletter, because at the time I didn't have a strong enough laptop to be typing out all these ideas that I had in my head. So I sat down with myself and thought, what would I want Slumber Screen Society to be? And I looked at people that have done, like Morgan Book. She has bookish media and she writes about all bookish news without excuse me, sorry, in fantasy, in all the genres within bookish community. And then she also speaks about TV, film, but mainly within book to screen adaptations. And then you have Amber, who made the Fangirl Nation, and she's making not only a community where fangirls can interact with one another, but she's also making a broadcast of a podcast, and she's using her voice to amplify that it's not a bad taboo to be a fangirl. And because a lot of there's a misogynistic tie with the word fangirl, and people think that girls crying over music isn't something that people should be doing, or it's not something that's socially acceptable. But a man going to a footy match will be emphasized, and they say it's proud culture. But there's a culture within fangirling, and I wanted to be able to amplify that within all forms of it. Like, there's girls that love Marvel and DC, and I was a kid that loved things that weren't. I loved everything when it came up to film, because I loved the idea of what they did to get that creative imagery. And when thinking of making this podcast, I wanted to not podcast this network. I wanted to make it to be something that everyone can find a version of themselves when they open to the society, because I want it to be a welcome space where they can join the club and everyone feels welcome and everyone finds something that they can find comfort in.
I love this idea of crying to music, and we should all be definitely allowed to cry to music if we want and be proud of it. Why not? Let's bring it on. So that's really interesting that you were inspired by these other people in this space who are opening up this fan culture. In the Slumber Screen Society, you've really focused on books, film, television, pop culture. I'm just interested to hear a bit more about your passion about that. And also, how on earth do you decide what to review or respond to? There's so much stuff out there.
I try to do 5 of each. So I pick 5 that are trending topics on Book Talk. If I search up Book Talk, books are coming out in July. What is the most spoken about? A lot of people right now are speaking about Daybreak by Autumn Woods. And I just field search and look on social media. What are people speaking about? What are people engaging with? And what could potentially be something that could become popular? When off campus started to be a thing, I knew that I wanted to make sure to make as much content about it as possible. Not only because I was passionate about it, but because there's a whole universe outside of the off-campus books that the adaptation's coming from. There's Briar U, El Kennedy's just started to write a second gen book series that follows their children. So the series goes beyond the 5 books that they're going to see that's going to be displayed on the show. So I wanted to introduce fans into Book Talk and also what the universes was like. So that's why when I made my recommendation video of the broadcasts of what books I like and what books I would read for the first time, I added in to mention Off Campus because the show was coming out in less than 2 weeks, so it would have been engaging for audience to figure out that, oh, there's a whole Briar U universe. So yeah,
that's interesting. Do you think that authors that knowingly write books in that kind of way in order to create the fan base and all of this extra kind of content, like the stuff you're producing?
I can never get into the head of any of the big best-selling authors, but I think that when Book Talk started to become a thing, a lot of them started to look at making more of what they already had, because the Book Talk girls, they really love anything that means second gen, or anything that means they get to see their characters more, see them grow up, see them grow into themselves, have children, have all these big families. And because a lot of them characters like Garrett and Hannah had a toxic background in their past life, and then they've had this community now that they grew into their characters. Now their characters are in their 40s and they have two 20 two 20 plus year olds that are falling in love and having their own stories, and like seeing that beauty within what a community can do to like make these people be seen in the different ways. I think that was really cool.
Super interesting. And so your work isn't just pieces to camera, but you also do written as well as the broadcast formats. I'm just kind of interested in what each of those platforms allows you to do.
I think the written side gives me more professionalism because I get to do a mixture of my undertone and a mixture of my of the research and the sources that are currently out there. Example, like my most recent article that came out, I did a review on Your Fault London premiere. I went as a ticket buyer, and there was so many things that wouldn't have been put out on the internet about what happened to us as ticket buyers, and there was information about the production that were already out there. So I just look at the information and try to do 50-50 from two different point of views of a journalistic and an enthusiast, and that's the writing style that I try to make sure to put in my work. But as a broadcaster, when I'm doing vlogs or like, I share my opinion. I'm a yapper. I talk a lot, and I'm also very opinionated, and sometimes I'll say one-liners that will just stay in my head or could stay in my audience's head that could last a lifetime. I think with My Fault London, when I did the review, the reaction video last year, the one thing that I saw people really engaging with is the quote when I said, they locked her in a closet. They're spiteful little girls. They're not even little girls. They're 20 years old. And that video went viral on my account, but then also went viral on my YouTube channel, and everyone liked that little snippet. So when I was trying to promote this article, I resurfaced that sound.
Oh, that's interesting. And how driven are you by your analytics? Does that help you decide what content to produce next?
Yeah, mainly because when it comes up to pop culture or something that's really heavy, has a heavy stance in pop culture, the engagement on my account goes higher. When I spoke about The Summer I Turned Pretty, engagement went higher. Bridgerton, engagement went higher. And because I'm like someone that's has a very expressionate face, like when I have the reaction, when there was a reaction to the mistress scene in Bridgerton season 4 part 1, that video went viral. It went to 11K on my Instagram, and then like I think like 4,000, 5,000 on TikTok. So that kind of amplified me doing a Bridgerton review of part 1.
That's incredible. Oh, well done for that. Amazing. I think that tells me a bit about why people want to watch you. You've got a really familiar, relatable tone in your content. You're kind of a critic, but a fangirl. I'd love to hear a bit more about how you developed that tone. Was it over time? Did you do lots of, obviously you this is a university project that is going to exist well beyond as well. But did you try a few things out? Or was it just you natural?
I think it's me naturally because like I can love something and still see the flaws in it. Because like, for example, when I saw Bridgerton season 3, there was parts that I loved about it. I loved the music. I loved the fact that it has a message of love can come in all different forms and love can bloom from friendship. But there are parts of it that I didn't like, about like the rush storyline. There was elements that in the books, like she had her little sister that kind of helped her, because in the books there was 4 Featherington sisters, not 3. And I'm like, I think like the missing of the sister, I thought they would add in her as a cousin, but that didn't happen. But like just I can see flaws in and beauty in something, but still look at it to be as like one entity.
Talking about flaws, you're reviewing ultimately, and you're helping your audience think about maybe what they're going to watch next, shaping public opinion as well. What do you think makes a strong and engaging review? What makes people come back and listen again?
I think because I think like what I've seen in like book talk, when book talk content creators get a bunch of PR boxes, they stop saying that what they truly think about books, and it makes hard getting like true authentic recommendations, because if you say something bad about the book, you're not going to get a PR box again. So I like to look at that kind of narrative into reviewing. You can't be afraid to say something bad, because you're going to be thinking about what people think. I'm an empath. I'm not going to say something really blatantly rude just to make someone, like, to hurt someone's feelings, but I'm going to say it in a way that's constructive, like, not to be rude, but just to be constructive and make sure that the person can see maybe where the errors that they may have went wrong in their work, or something that they may have overlooked because they're not in a part of a community that they're speaking about. Like, if I've seen like really poor writing when it comes up to how they speak about black skin, because sometimes they'll equivalent the description of black skin to food, like, oh, their skin is dark as chocolate, or their skin is light as a caramel, like all these other, like, I phrasings. But I think when it comes up to like speaking about what's wrong, what's bad, you just speak of it from a point of view that's safe, but also adding in the truth.
I mean, I think it's a difficult line, isn't it? Because you need to call stuff out where it needs calling out.
Yeah.
But I can hear in the way you're rejecting that kind of cancel culture, or maybe producing a bad review for likes, for traction in the social media space, but also not just saying really pointless nice things to get your PR box. So that tone and having your personality shine through seems to be something that's really important in that constructive way, but it's critical too. Yeah, and it seems like you found that real kind of authentic balance in the work that you do, and that's not easy to do. I'm curious to know what your next steps are. How are you going to develop your platform?
So I've been emailing a couple of brands. I've also been accepted into the Prime Press center, so I can have access to contacts for Prime Video, and I've been emailing and been invited for a press junket. So I'm just waiting to hear back if I was accepted and I can do the press junket for the production, and that would be like my first step into press junking. And I have a couple articles coming out for July. Obviously, Spider-Man being the biggest release of July. Also, Daybreak by Autumn Woods and The Odyssey. I'm a big fan of the epic musical, so I want to try and use some of those sounds when I go see The Odyssey. And my mum actually signed up to say, oh, I want to do a breakdown of you. So we're gonna do like a mum and daughter breakdown of Spider-Man when it comes out, because my mum loves like, she has a passion for film, and she kind of introduced it to me. And before it was me speaking about breakdowns with her, I was speaking to it with my granddad, and he used to give me pocket money, and he used to give me pocket money to like fund my little film passion. And I'd go to see the film, and then I'll go to his house and I'll give him a breakdown. My granddad was a part of the silent generation, so sometimes all the pop culture references I'm speaking about, he doesn't understand. And then I remember we tried to watch Twilight once, and didn't land well with him, but he kept saying, why is that television man trying to kill himself? Because he was like riding a motorcycle or something, and he kind of started this kind of passion of wanting to speak to people about interviewing. So
I love that. I mean, I can see, this is fantastic. You've got these professional opportunities coming up, which is great, which I'm sure will be very successful. But I love this idea of, your family also being part of your channel, and having these intimate moments, I guess, which could be quite amusing. I'm just visualizing you and your granddad having that chat and watching a film together. It's kind of like kind of a sort of goggle box.
It would have been it would have been fun to do with him. He was like, he's the person that raised me. He was my dad, but like him like not being here to see me graduate is definitely gonna be weird. But he was proud of the fact that I was going into the creative field. I'm the first person in my family to go into creative, because every African parent wants you to be a scientist. So he knew that I wanted to come here, but he didn't get to see me come here, and I'm hoping that I'm doing him proud.
I'm sure you are definitely doing him proud, and I think his spirit will definitely live on in your channel. You're a fangirl, obviously. You've mentioned so many things. You've mentioned loads of books that you love and all these movie franchises that you love as well. But if you could interview any author or actor or filmmaker, or like top 3, who would it be and why?
If we're speaking about authors, I have to say the author that kind of started the book obsession for all of the romance books I read, which is Penelope Douglas. She has an adaptation coming out soon, book to screen, of Five Brothers, which is in a universe of... It's actually slipped my mind. I actually don't know. It's not... I forgot which book it was, but it's a branch of a book that came out, which was it was a lesbian couple, and then it's the lesbian, it's the one of the girls like older brothers being the center of this book, and she kind of has this amazing series called Devil's Night, and everyone in BookTok is really obsessed with that series, and it's a dark romance series, and it's really good. And I met her in July last year, and it would be a really cool experience just to be able to get into like why she made her characters the way they are, like what 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 went behind the thoughts of each individual character, especially Will Grayson, because his character is the one of my favorite characters, because he's very funny, but he's also very like emotionally deep, which I would love to be able to speak to her about. If we're speaking about actors, I'd have to say Indy, from who currently played in Obsession. Her rendition of Nikki and her character was very frightening. I actually was in awe of her performance, of how she displayed the split personality, because in the Obsession she had two personalities, the real and the wish version of herself. And to be able to see her, like to be able to speak to her about her performance and how she got into playing a split personality character, would be really cool to like understand more of. If we speak about filmmakers, Tim Burton, Greta Gerwig, and James Cameron, because I feel like their direction style is always remains to be in pop culture. Their direction styles have their own aesthetics, and each one of their productions remain to be a standing in pop culture, whether it's Wednesday, Beetlejuice, or for Greta Gerwig, Little Women or Lady Bird, and for James Cameron, Titanic and Avatar. They always have a remaining stand in pop culture. I saw someone like less than 2 weeks ago doing the way there was a scene in the third film with the two women, like the mothers of like the children in the film, and they were reacting with a period pad of the scene that was in the film, and they were hissing at one another. And I thought that trend ended, but they brought it back, and then people started doing it again in the like little community online that's like dedicated to Avatar. Well, not really little, it's like over 1 million, but like they were doing it again after December release, which was really beautiful and unique to see being brought back. But it just shows that no matter what year it is, or no matter what time of year it is, there's productions remain to be like really long-standing parts of pop culture.
Yeah, well, you've really got some really sort of people with singular vision there, but that's so cool that you managed to meet Penelope Douglas. last year, and maybe you'll get her on your channel talking about Five Brothers and all the spin-offs and so on. That would be just so awesome. So we've heard quite a lot about your amazing project and where it's going to go, hopefully. Guess I'd just like to ask you a little bit about storytelling. That's what we do in fashion communication here at LCF, on one of the fashion communication courses. We're all about engaging audiences. So what would you say your approach to storytelling is, and how do you engage your audience?
I feel like when it comes to storytelling, when it's writing, it's a bit narrow. Like you have a beginning, middle, and end. But when it comes up to like doing a vlog or doing a broadcast or just like trying to get your story out there, I think it comes from emotion and like also passion, because you see the world that you want to share with the world, but you want to put the most emotion and effort and creativity into it. So you put it out there and people can see it, and you're like, I did that, and there's people that are engaging with it, and you feel happy that your work's being appreciated. I think with storytelling, it's a narrative of you can share multiple voices, and it doesn't need to be one narrow voice. It can be a variation of voices. Given the fact that I speak about a lot of topics in my little like network, I feel like it's okay to have different voices, because I belong to so many fandoms. I'm interacting with so many other books, and I'm in different like spins and circles. It makes it easy to have not just one narrow voice and having a span of voices that can go through each genre or each topic.
What does success look like for you in the future?
Being paid well. I feel like I come from my grandparents were blue collared workers, and I just want to be able to be successful. I want to be able to make my family proud, because being a Darigha, I only got this honor recently because I had my dad's name for a really long time, and my granddad always said to be proud of being who you are. And I want to make my Amoy proud, because she came to this country not speaking no English. She didn't read, she didn't write, but she was able to make her life for herself here. And my granddad went to school here, and he came like a couple years before Windrush. And I want to be able to make their story known, make their like their ancestors and my ancestors proud, because yeah, we came from Nigeria, Morocco, and Jamaica. We came here to be like make up the best versions of ourselves. And because I'm third gen, I want to be a role model to my younger cousins, and to be able to make my MT and all my cousins and my mum proud.
Well, that is an absolutely amazing aspiration, and I have no doubt that you will be a success and you'll make your family and ancestors very proud. Really amazing, really amazing. So, Aïsha, tell me a little bit more about, we've talked a lot about Slumber Screen Society. I'd love to hear more about your YouTube channel.
I started my YouTube channel when I was 14 years old. It was a way for me to like broaden out my creativity, and I always wanted to do it. I was 7 years old making skits on my mom's laptop, and then I auditioned for like the Sax channels, because there used to be a thing called Seven Supergirls, and I auditioned for those, but I never got accepted because I didn't have the like DSLR cameras that these guys had. So I was like, well, I could just make it myself. And then I started making vlogs when I was in school. I did get bullied for it, but then in the same breath, people were joining in the vlogs, and it made some of them entertaining as well. And then I got more followers after I got into UAL, which I think is like a given, because a lot of people want to come here, so they look at my vlogs as an example of what it's gonna look like when they come here. And then I started sharing more about my hobbies, and I shared about pageantry, me being in girl guiding, and then I started sharing about film, and that's where Slumber Screen Society rooted from, because of my film and reaction videos. I wanted to speak about more more bookish stuff on my platform, but put in a separate space where I could do written broadcasting and networking, and just generally make it its own space, but it doesn't clash with the brand that I have on my YouTube channel.
Sure, that's super interesting. I hadn't quite realised the legacy, you know, how that worked. So YouTube first, and then so you already had all of that experience before Slumber Screen Society. That's super interesting. I suppose the last thing really is just a bit of a reflection, and you know, when you're now looking back on your UAL degree as it's coming to a close, you know, what's a good memory for you? You know, what will you take with you forever, do you think?
Would it be bad saying leaving? I think like it's been an emotional journey, because I feel like every time I get an assessment, I'm stressing. I get grey hairs, I have a migraine, and all these other things that come with it. And I'm like, I love school, and I'm someone that really loves school, and I would wake up at like 4 a.m. on the first. I think I woke up at 4 a.m. the first day I came here when I was in first year, because I was so excited about coming here, and then I ended up like just like when I started getting my work, I was like, I don't know how to do this. And then my mom gave me this book about how to like do university work. But I think now that I'm done, I feel like at peace, because I don't have to do any assessments. I'm not doing any, like, well, I do have my own assessments now with like doing Slumber Screen Society, but it's at my own pace and my own time. And it has shaped and prepared me to go into the professional field, but I also feel like happy that I'm done, because the stress is now no longer hovering over my head. I don't have an assessment, and sometimes I keep checking my calendar to see if I have an assessment coming up, but I actually don't anymore.
Well, that shows how conscientious you were throughout your degree, but I can imagine the idea of being assessment free for a while is a very attractive thought. What advice would you give to a first year student starting on the fashion journalism and content creation course?
Pay attention in T-line. And also, if you don't understand T-line, watch videos. And if you struggle with T-line, you only have to do it for 1 year. And make every moment like memorable. Do stuff in London. If you don't have an environment where you feel safe, like you were in a similar predicament as me, like you didn't have like a community here, join societies, make friends outside of the course, make friends in different environments, go to events, meet people. Just try attempt to be an ambivert if you don't have the confidence for it. Or just pretend to be someone that you know who's confident. For me, I used to pretend to be my nan, because she had this like very bubbling like confidence that just overflows on her shoulders. So sometimes if you want to walk into a room, just pretend to be someone else so you don't feel too scared about.
Until it becomes part of yourself. It shows, you know, you've really developed those skills that you need at university, which is to be a self-starter and to make opportunities happen. And that's challenging, and you've clearly done that really, really well. So your final question, what are you going to do now?
I'm going to hopefully try and grow Slumber Screen Society and my own personal accounts, but I'm looking into professional roles in social media, marketing and publishing, because that's like my actual dream. And I realised now after doing my internship at Bad Girl Books, and hopefully like buy my first house and maybe down the line have a kid or two. But I don't know where my life is gonna look like in the next 5 to 6 years, but I hope that I'm just happy and I'm getting paid well. So yeah.
Well, Aïsha, thank you so much. You've been absolutely brilliant to talk to. You've made an amazing project and the future looks really super bright for you. Thank you so much for sharing your project with us today. Take care.
Bye.
We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna get out.